Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Today, I have a very special treat for you all. A fanfiction video that covers a topic and set of stories much newer than usual. We will be taking a look at some Among Us fanfictions. Yes, that's right, fanfictions about one of the most popular, heavily memed games of the past half-decade. I have been lucky enough to gain the permission to read the stories of 5 separate authors. Majority of these stories are from fanfiction.net, as per usual. I will be linking each story in the description, so be sure to give them your support. Let's cut the chatter and get this party started. The first story to kick this spotlight off was written by a rebellious child in April of 2021, so quite recently, as will be the trend in this video. Don't you hate it when you do or have visual task and yet some idiots vote you off? It's happened to me before, so I wrote this one shot. Splat. Black chopped blue in half. 1 down, 5 to go. Black smirked with satisfaction. He was the only imposter on board. The ratio of crewmates to imposters was 6-1, making a total of 7 people on board. Black was in the Skeld security. He knew crewmates often flocked to the cameras, hoping to spot the killer in action. Black vented away into electrical. He heard footsteps approaching. Black faked the calibrate distributor. "Oh hey Black," Yellow greeted as he walked into the electrical. "Having trouble with calibrate distributor?" "It's annoying, but I'll manage." Yellow opened the wire panel. "I'm lucky I don't have that task." "Then it's luckier for me. I don't do my tasks." After killing Yellow with a slash, he hid in the vent again. 2 down, 4 to go. Now, Black plotted. According to my predictions, some crewmates will find blue in a few seconds. Dead body reported. As Lime reported the body, everyone was teleported to the cafeteria. Black the imposter, green, red, Lime, and lastly, brown. "Blue died?" Red asked with a nervous look on his face. Where? Green actually looked concerned. Black looked around, pretending not to know where Yellow was. "I don't see Yellow either." "It was in security," Lime informed. "I didn't see anyone, but I think Red is sus." Brown confirmed. "Red is always sus, but during the last meeting, Yellow and Blue claimed that Red scanned. No way to know for sure though. They are both dead. Skip." "Skip," Black nodded, casting his vote. Red skipped too. Lime scowled. "I insist. Red is sus. I'm voting Red." But the votes on skipped outnumbered the ones on Red. No one was ejected. 1 imposter remains. "I'll go finish up my tasks." Black got up from the table. "I'll go with you." Lime stood up as well. "That's fine by me." Black shrugged. Black, Lime, and Red went to electrical. Green and Brown went to clear asteroids. Red was standing on the vent, downloading data. Lime glanced at Red. Sus. Splat. "Huh?" Red turned around, spotting now dead Lime and Black standing next to the body, a knife in hand. 3 crewmates now remained. Red whipped out his megaphone. Dead body reported. Once again, everyone was teleported to the cafeteria. "Black," Red declared. "Black killed." "Proof?" Black snickered. "I saw it with my own eyes," Red insisted. "It's Black." "I changed my mind. I'm agreeing with Lime. Now I think for sure it's Red." Brown glared at Red. "Killing your accuser. What a foolish move." "No," Red widened his eyes. "I scanned, in front of Yellow and Blue, who are both dead and can't back you up now. Vote him off." Red was not an imposter. 1 imposter remains. "It's not Red?" Brown looked aghast. "That's right." Black whipped out a knife. "It was me all along. Red's really sus, isn't he?" Shing. "I told you," Red screamed at the top of his lungs as he floated away from the Skeld. The end. Hope you enjoyed. I certainly enjoyed. Good story. Never really played Among Us much. Actually, I haven't played it at all. But seems pretty cool. Alright, we're going to move on to the next story now. The second story was written by DRosera68 in March of 2021. Drifting. He was drifting. Drifting in the cold, dark, yet beautiful vacuum of space. He was looking at something. It's hard to see in a cracked visor. It's hard to breathe. There's almost no oxygen left. Who is he? Again. Orange, was it? It's hard to think. It's so cold, so numb. Why is he out here again? Oh, right. Cyan did something to who? It started with a P? Purple? Why does he have a warm, fuzzy feeling? Did he like her? It doesn't matter now. It's getting harder to stay awake. Space is so beautiful. At least he'll get to see it one last time. Beep, 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 beep. Quite a tragic one. Nice little short, tragic story. I'm assuming this is after somebody had been ejected wrongfully from the ship. The third story was written by DragonMaster65 in January of 2021. We seem to be going backwards tonight. I don't know why I put them in this order, but yeah, it was no particular order. It was kind of just random. A/N. Originally written for the emergency meeting flash exchange on AO3 for 27 Twin Sister. What did you do? Lime's voice was hushed as he stood in the doorway of navigation. He looked nervously over his shoulder to make sure that they weren't about to be interrupted. Orange shook her head and stepped away from the body. She hadn't meant to hurt Purple. Not really. We were supposed to lay low, Lime hissed. He stormed over to Orange and shoved her. It was what she needed to pull herself back together. She shoved him back. It was an accident, she insisted. They were so close to reaching Polis, too. So close to getting home. And now she had to go and mess it up. Lime was right to be angry. But by the tendrils, it wasn't going to help now. Lime snorted and shook his head. He was a parent, he said, jabbing a finger into the pilot's seat. Tottering on the edge of the seat, oblivious to the body slumped just behind it, was Purple's Mini. They babbled happily to themselves, patting at the locked console buttons in front of them. Orange grimaced. He wasn't a very good one, she muttered in retort. Moving to the pilot's chair, she knelt by the child. Mini Purple turned and cooed when they spotted Orange there. They reached out with their hands and tumbled happily into Orange's arms. Hey, what do you think you're doing with that thing? Lime sputtered. Just leave it. Them, Orange corrected. She shifted her humanoid hand into a tentacle, wiggling it at Mini Purple. A small smile flitted across her lips as the Mini immediately grabbed onto it with a shriek of joy. They are alive. They are not an it. Lime shook his head. You're going to out yourself if you start carrying that thing around. Just leave it. One of the crew will find Purple's next of kin. End of story. That's how things are done. You know, when things go the right way. Orange rolled her eyes. The Mini was now trying to pull themselves onto her shoulder. She winced when their tiny boots dug into her sharply until they managed to make it all the way up. But Lime, it was just so awful. Walking in here and finding the body and poor Mini Perps here. I just had to let my maternal instincts take over and save them from seeing their poor, dead parent, she said. For added emphasis, she pouted and tried on her best wide-eyed crewmate look. Tch, Lime scoffed. A self-report on top of it all. Wow. He threw his hands up in the air and stepped over to the vent in the corner of the room. Fine. Just give me a minute to get spotted somewhere else. Then feel free to cry wolf. He relented. Orange nodded and he slid away in a clatter of metal. Minnie Purple shifted on her shoulder, and Orange had to lurch to grab them in her tentacles. Ugh, her hands. She really would have to get better at maintaining her cover. One mistake was enough. She bounced Minnie Purple in her arms until the little one had been properly soothed. She then reached over, unlocked the navigation console, and pushed the button to open a ship-wide comm. Help! Help! Somebody come quickly! There's been a terrible accident! A/N. Blanket statement for my one-shots. Please do not ask if I am continuing these. They are single chapter fics, which I am considering complete. Thank you. Dragon Master 65. Okay, that's the end. Really enjoyed the dialogue in this one. Seems very natural. I enjoyed reading it as well. The fourth story was written by eatcakexyz in January of 2021, similar to the last tale. Note, I will be putting a link to both the story and Eatcake's Twitch channel in the description. Show them some support if you could. That would be awesome. Chapter 1. A small office in downtown London stands empty, with 9 people inside. A 9th enters the building, drenched in sweat and blood. There has been a murder in the building, she declares. The 9 people in the building gasp as one. This beautiful young woman is crying. She has seen a murder take place. She knows who did it. It was. She dies. Her ugly body drops to the floor, with her pink skin rippling in pink pain due to her being dead. Her father, whose skin is red, cries. His name is Red, and his skin is red. Red says, I think she's dead. All gasp. It might be true. There is a knife in her back, and she's crying in pain. She's clearly dead. Who could have done this? Declares her mother, whose skin is black. She's younger than Pink, and looked up to her. She's devastated by her potential death. A young man steps forward. His name is Kevin, and his skin is blue. He was the husband of Pink, and so was rather upset. He doesn't know she is dead, but upon seeing the body he realizes. She's dead! All cry. All of a sudden, Purple, who is the wife of Blue, drops dead. She declares, We must find who killed me! It was at this moment that they know. There is a pretend among us. Chapter 1, Part 3. The crew are sad. There have been 2 murders, and that is more murders than have ever occurred in their hometown of York during the entire time it has existed. Black is crying, which is sad. Still alive is Black, Red, Green, Orange, Lime, Yellow, White, and Kevin. They are in shock, which is normal, says the doctor. The doctor's name is Orange, and his skin is yellow. He has just finished diagnosing Yellow, whose skin is orange. They were named this way due to their father Pink hating them. Yet still they love him, and were devastated by her death. Who could have done this? Asked Lime, who was really evil. No one knows he is evil, and so Kevin yells, Ah! White and Kevin hold hands. They are sad. Time to do tasks, declares Green. Green likes tasks. He is good at tasks, and so he likes them. They go off to do tasks. As they go through the office in New York, they begin doing wires and medbay scan, and Red is sus. An emergency meeting is called by Green, who has found a body. Whose body is it? Asks Green. But it is in vain. It is Red's body. White says it was Lime. He is evil. I know he is. Lime cries. He is sad. The others take pity on him and vote White off the spaceship, but she's not to pretend. Lime cackles. Only 3 to go. And that's where it ends. So I'm not really quite sure, but I have a feeling this story might be more satirical than the other ones, poking a little bit of fun at Among Us. If not, I do apologize for misinterpreting it, but that's just what it looks like to me. It is definitely a good story, though. I enjoyed it. I had a little laugh the first time I read it. The final story for tonight is written by yours truly, Long story short to this, I didn't get any other DMs back giving me permission to spotlight, so I decided to make a story myself. It was written in May of 2021, so this month, like today, the day of recording. Beware though, I have never played Among Us, as I said before, and have never had the desire to be completely honest. This is just my take on it, being the memetic icon it now is. It's going to be a little different from the other stories, because this one is actually not about a game of Among Us as much as it is about a society that has Among Us in it, like the real world. But I'm going to get right into it. Jack looked down at his watch. How long had it been? He no longer had his cell phone, so he couldn't verify the date. All he had to go by was whatever time was on the watch. He had managed to keep it going all this time by salvaging batteries from his other watches, but he didn't know how long he could keep that process up. Perhaps he could just steal a proper phone, if there were any left at this point. That would require leaving his bunker, however. The world outside the reinforced backyard bunker that Jack had been sheltering in, for what he didn't know now was 2 whole years, was a desolate one. And now that his food supply was running low, Jack would have to go out and scavenge. He had been dreading this moment for a long time. He didn't want to go out into what he knew was nothing but horror. Jack disengaged the various mechanisms keeping the bunker locked and slammed the open button with his fist. The door slowly descended into the doorsill below, exposing a stairwell to the outside world. The sunlight blinded him as he ascended the stairs. After getting to the top, Jack immediately noticed one thing that had not changed since he had retreated into hiding. The massive electronic billboards hovering through the sky, broadcasting what could only be described as 24/7 propaganda. Propaganda for a stupid little video game as Jack knew it. It was Inner Sloth's Among Us. Jack never cared for the game and didn't know much else about it, other than the basic premise, and who made it. He also now knew that it had destroyed everything he loved. As for the propaganda, it was a mixture of advertisements, sponsored gameplay, and ridiculously outdated memes. Various objects would flash onto the screen and quickly have an Among Us pointed out in them, with loud and intense laugh tracks playing after each meme. In between the propaganda, the word sus was plastered across the screens in white with a deep glowing red background. This so-called word, sus, that once meant nothing, now burned a hole in Jack's very soul every time he heard it. The speakers on the billboards would blare out various forms of "when the blank is sus," as the word violently pulsed to maniacal laughter. By Jack's estimate, the local area alone had at minimum 50 floating billboards droning out Among Us all day, every day. It was enough to drive a man mad, and it truly did. Long before he went into his bunker, the madness had begun, but he, Jack, had maintained his sanity somehow. Jack looked around and saw that he was the only one standing in his neighborhood, from what he could tell at least. This was good. It meant he didn't have to deal with any zealots during his first scavenging trip. As Jack traversed the rubble littering the area, he thought about what had led to this, again, as he had so many times before in his bunker. From his perspective, it went like this. Jack lived in a time where the internet dominated his culture. People were obsessed with social media and all things tech. Most of an average person's time was spent following influencers, hopping on the newest e-trends, and consuming memes. What had happened was truly an unlucky combination of a trendy game, bad politics, and a runaway tsunami of memes. It all started when a game called Among Us was released. The game sat unnoticed for a time, randomly picking up mass popularity one day for seemingly no reason at all. Jack, not being a gamer, at least knew that the game seemed normal enough. There was nothing special about it, in his opinion. It was a multiplayer game where people guessed who a killer was on a spaceship. That was all he ever cared to learn. Jack had seen this trope before, so he thought nothing much of it. Well, apparently, other people thought a lot about it. Society quickly became obsessed with everything Among Us. At first, it was just the game. It was plastered all over social media and gaming websites. It was all people wanted to play and watch. And then, when everybody thought it had passed its trend life, like so many games before it, the memes started. All day, every day. Every joke, every piece of commentary. It was all about Among Us. It consumed the entire internet. People just couldn't stop talking about it. They couldn't let it go. Jack didn't get it. At the time, he still did his best to ignore the memes and the game. Well, it didn't end there. The company that owned the game, Inner Sloth, made enough money to purchase the entire United States of America. Yes, that's right. The country was already on the brink of collapse due to incompetent politicians, so everyone just gave up and the sale was made. So now, the company that made the atrocity behind this meme now owned the very place Jack called home. Inner Sloth subsequently declared the US as a new dictatorship that worshipped Among Us. This would surely maximize their profits even further, is what their shareholders said. That's when they began with the propaganda and the billboards. Soon enough, people were walking down the streets shouting, "Hey, that lamp looks like Among Us," and "Yo, he's sus." The public was utterly gone, half consumed by Among Us and the other half violently fighting against it. Pretty soon, cities fell as society collapsed to the cult-like consumer mayhem. Among Us. Among Us. Among Us. Good game, good memes, good world. Jack figured this happened due to the nihilistic view many had of the world before Among Us. They needed a cause, they needed a purpose, and Among Us was there, arms wide open. Jack, being a smarter fellow, however, saw this all coming before it hit its worst point. He was able to retreat into his bunker when the fires started burning around his town. Suddenly, he was yanked out of his reminiscing by the sound of trampling footsteps and chanting. "Damn, it must be some whack jobs," Jack muttered. Turning a corner around a wrecked building about 1 block away was a massive horde of what looked like 15-year-olds dressed in crappy, various-colored astronaut suits. From what Jack could tell, they were shouting all sorts of Among Us garbage, and they were heading in his direction. Then came the shout through a bullhorn. "We have ourselves a sussy wussy, fellas!" To be continued. Okay, that's my take. Bit of a hot one. I know. And voila, that wraps it up. Just a note, I am not mocking anyone for liking Among Us with my story. I was just kind of playing off that one meme online. It's like the guy with the stop posting about Among Us. He made a video like ranting. And I'm kind of just taking a jab at how obsessed meme culture has become with Among Us. It's nothing personal towards anybody. No harm, no foul. I hope you all enjoyed this storytime session. Be sure to throw a like my way, and maybe even subscribe if you did. Check out my channel for a ton of other narration content. Maybe I'll even continue my Among Us tale one of these days. Alright everyone, stay tuned and stay cool.